Now we move into the etymological origin and cosmological origin of the term black. Now once again, misinformation is rife throughout the internet and other circles and so forth. Misguided individuals as well as brainwashed individuals who deep down inside they have low self-esteem, so they don't want to identify with black. They're so fearful of the word black that they put forward idiotic notions that black means death and black is not something that we've ever called ourselves, and black comes from European languages. Pure stupidity. When you hear individuals putting forth that false information, we shouldn't use the word black. Pure stupidity is rooted in self-hatred. They hate the word Africa because they've been taught by the whites and offspring that African is inferior. They don't know anything about Afuraitkaitnit, the land of the creator, land of the creatress, children of Afura, children of Afuraitkaitnit. When they hear the term black, Europeans told them that black is inferior, so they want to pretend like we've never used that term. And the term comes from the European language family. Actually, the term black has its etymology and cosmology that we've proven in our publications and in our workshops and classes and so forth, comes directly once again from our ancestral language of Kamit. It can be found in the Medutu, in the hieroglyphs and so forth. So in this cosmogram we're going to show on the screen, this time we're utilizing our cosmogram to show the Hoodoo identity racially and culturally, spirit-genetically. Now, on the bottom piece you'll see the term Bri, B-I-R-I. Biri, that is the term in the Akan language for black or dark. Akan people call black people generally Ebibri Fo, the group of people Fo who are Bri, black. Ebibri Fo means someone, Obi, so it's Obi, Bri, Fo. Fo means group of people, as in folks or group of people. Bri means black, B-I-R-I, and Obi means someone. So Obibri Fo means the group of people who are black. Obibri Ni means a black individual. Ebibri Mine means the black, Bri, or mine, or nation. That is the general term when describing the nature of the continent of Afuraitkaitnit and African black people. We say Ebibri Mine or Ebibi Mine, the black nation. Ebibri Fo, black people. Obibri Ni, a black individual. Bri also means strong and powerful. Now there's another term in the Akan language. The term is Tum, T-U-M. We'll show that on the screen and so forth. Tum also means black or dark. Tum or Tum also means black or dark. But the root Tum also means power. And Otumfo is one of the group of people Fo who has Tum or power. So when you look at Otumfo, a powerful person, it's also Tum meaning black. From the root term Tum meaning black or dark, but Tum also meaning power. You look at Bri, it means black, but Obrefo also means an unusually powerful person. So we've always associated the term black with power. Bri meaning black, Bri meaning powerful. Tum meaning black, Tum or Tumi meaning power. So once again, when you hear individuals saying that we've never called ourselves black, we've never used that terminology, we never called our landmass black, Akan people call ourselves Ebibri Mine, the black nation, Ebibri Fo, black people, Obibri Ni, black individual, and it's cosmological. When you look at the black skin of the divinity, we'll show it on the screen and so forth, the great god Amen, the masculine aspect of the supreme being called Inyamen, Akan, and so forth. You'll see his skin is black. We're directly descendant of Amen, and you'll also see his skin being blue, and you'll see the same thing with Amenet, the great mother. When you look outside during the daytime, of course, the infinite expanse is the sky that surrounds and encompasses all things. There's no beginning and no ending to the sky and so forth. It is blue. But at nighttime, when the sun begins to quote unquote set, that blue transforms into black, and then the infinite expanse that surrounds all things, not just our planet, but all planets, suns, moons, and stars and so forth, the primordial black substance, that is the all-encompassing Ka or Kayat soul of Amen, and Amenet. That blackness, so-called dark energy and dark matter, encompasses all planets, suns, moons, stars, comets, asteroids, and all things. That is the black melanin within the black body of the great supreme being, Amen and Amenet. The divine living energy, the solar fire moving within that blackness, the creative power, is Ra and Ra'et. Just like you're a being as an Afurakani man, the woman is a being Afuraitkaitnit woman. As a being, you're like Amen and Amenet. The black melanin within your body, within which your organs and glands and blood vessels and so forth dwell in, that is the Ka'et, that is the black substance, that's the melanin and so forth. And then the divine living solar fire energy that surges through your system, through your physical body, your spirit body, your procreative power that you direct to your reproductive organs to create a child and so forth, that divine living solar life force energy, that is your Ra force as an Afurakani man, your Ra'et force as an Afuraitkaitnit woman. It is a portion of the divine living energy of Ra and Ra'et. So you as the great being, Amen or Amenet, direct your Ra force or your Ra'et force to go out and create. Just like Amen and Amenet, the great father and great mother supreme being, who are two halves of a divine whole. They're called Inyame and Inyamewa. In the Akan tradition, for example, they are the great being, and they direct their Ra force and Ra'et force to go out and create the universe. So Ra and Ra'et as creator and creatress are actually grandchildren of the supreme being, Amen and Amenet. And that cosmology is consistent throughout Afuraitkaitnit, Africa, in cosmologies across the continent. So when you see the Akan term Bre, that comes from the ancient term in ancient Khanit and Kamit. Bre, sometimes is written with the symbol for the R, the open mouth and so forth. Bre, B, and R. Sometimes it's written with the wavy line for the N, but the N and the rolling R exchange. So BN is Bene. But BR with the rolling R, the tongue tapping the roof of the mouth once is Bere. So if you see BR in the Medutu, the hieroglyphs, Bere, or just, not duplicated, but Bere, and it's reduplicated, Bere. If you see BN, that is Bene. This is how you see that N and R interchange when you're talking about the rolling R, the tongue tapping the roof of the mouth once. BR is Bere, BN is Bene. It's the same sound. So sometimes the term is spelled with the symbol for the B and the symbol for the R, Bere. Sometimes it's spelled with the symbol for the B and the symbol for the N, Bene. And you will find the same thing in the Akan language, the interchange linguistically between the rolling R and the N. Of course, when you say N, the tongue touches the top, the roof of the mouth. Ben, when you say Ra or R, Bere, the tongue taps the roof of the mouth. And of course, once again, as we said in the previous episode, the letter L doesn't exist in ancient Kemet, and it doesn't exist in the Akan language either. So only when you have foreign words, like from the Greeks and Romans and so forth, and they use letter L's, when they tried to translate their language with the Medutu, the hieroglyphs, they had to use the symbol for the letter R to translate the L. Like Cleopatra had to be written Cleopatra. The rolling R, Cleopatra, had to be utilized because there is no L in the language of ancient Kemet. The same is true in the Akan language. There's no letter L or L sound in the Akan language. If you go throughout Ghana and so forth and you communicate in the Tree language with Akan people, you will never hear the L sound utilized at all. They also, if there are foreign words that enter into the Akan language and they try to pronounce them and they have a letter L, the Akan person will replace that with the rolling R, just like we do in ancient Kemet. So for example, the term mulatto, in Akan, that's murato, muratoni. The rolling R, ra, just one tap, murato. Instead of murato, but murato, the tongue taps the roof of the mouth once. So there's an interchange between the rolling R and the L. If you study linguistics in any linguistics book, you'll see that the R and the L interchange. That's a common understanding in linguistics. It's proven in the Akan language. Mulatto becomes murato, or muratoni in ancient Kemet. Cleopatra is translated as Cleopatra with the glyph for the letter R and so forth. We prove that in our languages, the ancient language and the contemporary language. Why is that important? Because when you look at the etymological origin of the term black, when you look at the Proto-Indo-European language phylum or family, you'll see that the term balak, they will say it comes from the root term B and L or B and R. Bere, which later becomes belek, and some Europeans still say belek, like belek min, belek or bilik, and in English it's black, but they'll say belek, but it comes from bere. So you'll see in Proto-Indo-European, that is the proposed language family, that's the origin of all European languages, Indo-European languages. They posit that that language family came into existence about 5,000 or 4,000 so-called BCE. So from ancient Sanskrit in India all the way across to Europe and so forth, the Proto-Germanic and Tocharian and all these different languages and so forth, their origin only begins around 5,000 to 4,000 so-called BCE, and they call that language family the Proto-Indo-European language phylum or family, the origin of all European or Indo-European languages. So in the Proto-Indo-European lexicon, and you see the entries in the Proto-Indo-European lexicon and dictionaries and so forth, they will say be and L, bel, or bere, bele, bere. Also B and R, bere, bere is the origin of the term berek, which later became belek. So berek became belek, and later, hundreds of years later, black. But at first it's berek, that comes from bere, BR or BL and so forth. And once again, the R and L interchange. They'll say that's the origin of the term. They will also state that they don't know where it comes from in Indo-European. They just know that B and L or B and Ra, Bele or Bere, which later becomes Berek, Belek or Berek and so forth, and black. They just know that those two sounds together, B and Ra, or B and La, Bere or Bele, is the origin of the term black. And those two sounds together mean to shine, bright, glitter, but also to blacken, to burn, black, and dark. So the same word that means to shine or spark or glitter, white light and so forth, also means black, dark, and also means to burn and blacken and so forth. Now, of course, the association is cosmological. When you look at the Akan language, Biri is the consonantal structure of B and R. Biri means black in Akan. Biri means the same thing cosmologically in ancient Kemet. And then later, the Europeans learned that from us in Biri or Bili. So in comparison, you see B and R as the consonantal structure of the term black in Akan. B, R becomes Biri, Biri, black. You look at ancient Kemet, the hieroglyph or the medut for B and the medut for R, Biri, as well as the B and the N, Bini, cosmologically means black as well. And then thousands of years later, after the Europeans invade northern Kemet, learn about our language, learn about our cosmology and so forth, then they learn about the terms Biri, meaning black, to shine, bright, brilliant and so forth, but also to blacken, to burn, to harden and so forth. So they took that term Biri, Bili, and they pronounced it Bili, Bilik, and black and so forth, and it became Bilik or Birik or black in their languages. Cosmologically, what does it mean? In one of our books, Odumankoma, Tredriampong, we're talking about the divinity Odumankoma in the Akan culture, which is Atem in ancient Kemet, and Tredriampong, which is the same as Kepra, the beetle divinity in ancient Kemet. We're making a comparison in contemporary Akan Ancestral Religion and showing these are the same deities with the same descriptive titles from ancient Khanit Kemet. And we touched upon the cosmology of the so-called Bin stone. Now, When you look in ancient Kemet, you'll see the Bennu bird flying across, the landscape and so forth. It lands on the primordial mound after the flooding season. So when the river floods every year, overruns the banks, floods that part of the country, the people wait for the waters to recede, and once the waters recede, black silt has been deposited upon the banks of the river, and then they go out and plant their crops and so forth. So every year, the so-called Nile River or the Hapi would flood the country and so forth, and once the Hapi's flood receded, that's the time to plant your crops, and abundance will be the result of that. But when the Bennu bird is flying over the waters and they are flooding and there is no landmass for the Bennu bird to settle upon, at some point the waters begin to recede and the first highlands or primordial mound began to emerge from the receding water. And when they see those black primordial hills and so forth, the Bennu bird will fly to one of those hills that manifest from under the surface of the water and so forth, and they will settle upon that black mound. Cosmologically, when they talk about the divinity Atem operating through the setting sun, the sun sails across the sky just like the Bennu bird sails across the sky, and then eventually it sets in the west and the solar disk goes and penetrates the earth. That is akin to the first time that the sun went across the landscape, set in the west, and penetrated the primordial mound. So in ancient Kemet, the black capstone that is placed on top of the pyramid is representative of the black primordial mound, the first landmass that we just talked about, Akan and Khanit, that first landmass that rose up above the surface of the water to be the first landmass of Earth. In ancient Kemet, they would make, for example, the Great Mer or the Great Pyramid. It had white limestone all around its body that has been stripped by Arabs and so forth since then, thousands of years later. But at first, that pyramid that you see, that Mer that you see, the Great Pyramid and so forth, it was all smooth white limestone. And the capstone was a black pyramidion, a black triangular capstone. And the other so-called pyramids, or Meru as we call them, had these black capstones, and some of those capstones are in museums right now. In the Great Egyptian Museum in Cairo, you will see one of those black capstones and so forth. We have that image in the book. That primordial black capstone is representative of the first black hill that rose up above the surface of the water to become the first landmass of Earth. And they will talk about the spirit of the Bennu bird, animated by the divinity Atem, settling on the first primordial landmass. That's the solar disk penetrating that first primordial hill. The hill rises up from beneath the surface of the water, is still wet and soggy and so forth. The divine living energy of Ra and Ra'at penetrate that primordial mound, fire it up, harden it, and now that's a solid substance. Now plant life, animal life, mineral life, Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit, human life can manifest from that first substance, that first compact substance, that first landmass. But the symbol, the black pyramidion, that was blackened because the first solar energy, the solar disk, penetrated that at the beginning of creation, fired it up, and then blackened it or hardened it and made it a solid substance from which our bodies could actually be formed. Now, that pyramidion is called Bri, the black one. When a fiery energy penetrates a solid substance, there's a spark, there's a flame, there's a shining flash, glittering, shining, white light and so forth. So when they say Bere, means to shine, to flash, to glitter, bright, shining, that's the first Bere, the solar disk penetrating the Bere stone or the Bere mound. And once that shine or flash or spark happens, when the fire energy penetrates that first landmass, then it begins to cook, quote unquote, the landmass and blackens and burns it. So the Bere starts off with a flash or a fire or a spark or a shining, glittering, a luminous spark and so forth, Bere, and then it manifests as Bere, a blackened and hardened entity. So when you see bere, which becomes bele, and belek, and berek, and so forth, and black, and in the Proto-Indo-European language family, it means to shine, bright, glittering, but also black and burned and so forth. That comes from the primordial stone, that pyramidion, that black capstone that is called bere, bere in ancient Kemet. The bere, bere is the black capstone, the black mound that receives the fire energy of Ra and Ra'ed moving through the solar disk. That solar disk penetrates the primordial mound, fires it up, hardens it, blackens it, makes it a solid substance and so forth. So bere, fire, light, shining, bright, spark, results in bere, black, solid, power, strong, and so forth. This is the etymological origin of bere, meaning black. It's pronounced biri. In Akan, it's bere. In Proto-Indo-European, it becomes bele and belek, and so forth. And just like you have the term icon, and something that is iconic comes from the root icon. Something that is bere becomes berek or belek. Something that is of bere, just like iconic is something that is of an icon and so forth. Berek is something that is ek of bere, blackness. This is the origin of the term. So when they talk about black, comes from Europeans, pure stupidity. This comes from the cosmology of the Ben stone, the Bennu bird, and we go into detail about that in our book, as well as some of our classrooms and so forth. So it's Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit people. Our bodies were formed from that first primordial landmass and so forth. The fire energy of Ra and Ra'ed moved through us. It blackened us. It made us bri, black. It made us bri, powerful. It made us tum or tum black, but also tum, powerful, because that blackness has the capacity to hold the energy in all of its manifestations. When they say don't wear black in the summertime because it consumes all of the energy, our black melanin, neuromelanin, as well as the melanin on our skin and externally and so forth, has the capacity to pull in the energy in its fullness of Ra and Ra'ed, the divine living energy of the Creator and Creatress, hold that energy, process it, and align us with forces in nature. So to be Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit, children of Afura and Afuraet, you have to be able to receive the energy of Ra and Ra'ed. And because we can receive that, we are bri, that fire, light, spark, bri, or bere, also burns or blackens us and hardens us and makes us strong and powerful. Bri, or bere, we're called ebibri, fo, ebibri, mine, or bibri, ni, and so forth. That is black. So you have to be Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnit, African, in order to practice Hoodoo, of course, because you have to be a child of Ra and Ra'ed. The whites and offspring are not that. You have to be black, have that black energy, that black substance within you, that melanin within you, but it has to be the kind of melanin that can receive the energy of the Creator and Creatress. The whites and offspring have no connection to Ra and Ra'ed, Odumare, Oshumare, Nyonkumpon, Nyonkunton, Da, Idawedo, and so forth.
Hoodoo Cast, podcast for authentic Hoodoo, Akan Ancestral Religion in North America. Episode 7, Race and Hoodoo, Etymology of Black, Race, African, Akan and America, featuring Odwirafo, out now on all streaming platforms. Join our Hoodoo Cast Patreon community for all exclusive content.